Okay, so guys, I'm probably gonna title this, Scratch's hot take on why Supreme KO is garbage. So that's good. You guys are good with that discussion?
I mean, if you want to talk about garbage, just bring Aitlin, and I'm gonna give you garbage, boy.
Oh no. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna give it to
We're
you.
changing
Bring
it up.
Aitlin here, bring Aitlin here. I'm gonna give you that garbage.
Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, going to be joined by my good friends in Cold Brew and Scratch, and we were kind of talking random stuff, and Scratch was a little bit lower on Supreme Kale than some of the community takes that I've seen out there. So I thought it'd be fun to jump on and have a discussion about why Scratch feels that way, and we'll see if me and Cold Brew agree and kind of why the community likes him and all that. And we'll have a fun discussion about Supreme Kale and some of the other Supreme starters. Let's get into it. Alrighty, what's up, boys? How we doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good, pretty good. Excited about the Supreme Champions. I'm about to see like a super crazy fight in between all these Supreme Champions. They're all gonna fight to claim the title now.
That's right. How you doing, Cold Brew?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. These Supremes are okay. They're okay.
Okay, well,
You see, I think they're supposed to name the champions okay Kael, okay Atel, or no, not so okay Atel, okay Elhain. You know what I mean? That's Supreme. Like, come on, dude.
yeah. Well, it's easy to see why. Like in some of the polling that I've done on my channel, Supreme KO wins in a landslide in terms of who people think is the best, and I think the main driving factor is the fact that he's got all AoEs and that his stuff cannot be resisted. So you can either build him very tanky or with very high damage because you can negate the accuracy stat. But I know Scratch, why are you thinking that people are maybe overvaluing Supreme Kale?
Because he's a progression champion at the moment. So if you're just taking in consideration all the content that you have in the game, and most of the people are progressing through the game, which is fine, right? I still think Gallic overall is better at the moment. How the game is, I'm not sure if in 6 months they're gonna bring in new dungeons that will require 1000 accuracy and stuff. Yeah, that's when Supreme Kael will be better than he's at the moment. But at the moment, it's just a progression champion. Like, it's so easy to get 200 accuracy on your champions and go and do the dungeons. You know what I mean? Probably the newer stages on the dungeons, on stage 10 hard mode, I was going to say 25, it will require more accuracy, 300, 350, but it will require more survivability on your champions as well. It will require more support champions. It will require more champions that are dealing with the right mechanics. And filling that slot just to give you the increased accuracy and decreased resistance is not going to be as easy as people think, that I'm just putting Kael in, he's going to smash everything in all the teams, I don't think, or even a mid-game account, mid-game is you got your arbiter, your mid-game, right? That's when you're in the mid-game. I don't think it's hard to get 200 accuracy on your champions. Now, if we're talking about the other
okay, Scratch. It's not 200 accuracy. Come on now. You can't bring Supreme Kale.
220, 230 accuracy for dungeons, right?
For dungeon 20, maybe, but not for like, the Hydra, and not for like dungeon 25.
Oh no, we're talking about that. He's not gonna be that amazing in Hydra though. And if for stage 25 has the same requirements on speed, resistance, accuracy.
Yes, sorry, I meant like hard. I meant like the dungeons above, like the new ones.
Hard is more now. You know what I mean? It's more. But you're not gonna go too hard if you're mid game. You're not gonna go and beat the hardest content if you're progressing through the game. Okay, so you gotta keep that thing in the back of your mind. You're not just gonna snap your fingers and skip 20 stages in dungeons to go to hard mode directly just because you got Supreme Kael in your team. It's not working like that. And if you're talking about the other dungeons that we have in the game, right? So we have the Iron Twins Fortress. It might be pretty decent there if you are capable enough to speed tune your team to ensure that all the other champions are using their skills after he buffs and debuffs. Okay, keep in mind that boss is constantly removing the debuffs from himself. If you want to have a decent run, a decent time on completing that dungeon, probably you're going to need some champions either on reflex or something to drop the damage, especially if you're planning to use a Geomancer. And if you're talking about the Sand Devil's Necropolis, he's just not gonna be good in there because you're gonna drop a lot of hits from him. You're gonna to replace a different champion that will fill in a very important role. I'm not saying it's gonna be impossible to make a team with him, but he's not the GOAT for it. I can tell you exactly where he's gonna be the GOAT right now. So if any of you guys are struggling to go and beat the Frost Spider, he's gonna be amazing there. And he's gonna drop that resistance, he's gonna increase your accuracy, and you're gonna be able to land that HP burn finally if you're struggling there, you know? And in terms of damage, I'm not sure. I might be wrong. Once I test him, I might be like, oh my god, this champion deals so much damage. He's literally destroying my desk as well because he's so powerful. But till then, that's my opinion on the champion. Progression champion. And my main take on them is they do not deserve to be Void Legendaries. They're just diluting the pool with other champions that, I mean, they're better progression champions in the game and they're not Void, bro. You know, like that's my main issue with them being Void Legendaries.
Okay, Scratch, or sorry, Cold Brew, do you agree or disagree with anything that Scratch said?
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I believe the majority of players that'll find Supreme Kael useful is going to be the newer players that get him. And it's not the same as with the other Supreme starters. Like, he's the strongest one for a reason, and that's the unresistible debuff. I could see out of the four, only Supreme Kael being an actual Void because he has so many of the unresistible in his kit. But other than that, I can't see him as being as useful for my account, for example. So I wouldn't use him anywhere unless something very specific pops up.
Okay. Now, so Scratch, if you were rating them, you would have Galek. Let me guess. Galek 1, Supreme Kael 2, Elaine 3, and Aethel 4. Is that right?
No.
No.
So let me just put it like that. Okay. So I would have most probably, yeah. I think I prefer Galek because, yeah, he does seem to provide better stuff. Or Hydra, he might be good in other places as well with the HP burn, with the detonation and stuff. He's pretty interesting, right? I'm not saying that Dark Kael's kit is not great, but it's just decreased resistance, increased accuracy, which at the moment, in the current state of the game, that's a progression thing. I understand why people like that, you know, because most of the people are progressing through the game. How Cold Brew said, if I'll get him on my account, I won't use him anywhere, you know, like, is literally no place where I would need to use him. But that can change in a few months, you know, when they bring in a new dungeon, and then all of a sudden Kael can just become like the #1 most OP champion out of all because of the new content. But if we're keeping in consideration what we currently have in the game, you know. So I would put probably, yeah, I would rank Galek, Kael #2, Elhain #0, and Aethel probably -100 or something like that.
That's exactly the order that I said.
like how you
no, because you said
that's exactly
you said like #1, 2, 3, and 4. Like, no, they don't deserve to be 3 and 4. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
I
wasn't ranking them on a tier list. I was putting them.
I know.
So I was right all
you,
along. See, okay. Well, then we haven't talked about why do you put Aethel last? I thought Aethel at least had some potential to do some interesting things, even with like the freezing on the A1. So walk us through why Supreme Aethel is so garbage.
So let me just pull up her kit as well, just to kind of like remember it a bit better. The whole idea with her is why the kit makes no sense is because she needs to do all these things, but then she needs to have something else in the play. So with the A1, right? Attacks one enemy. If there are enemies under a freeze, also attacks them, okay? Then, yeah, increases the attack, decreases the attack, which is fine. It's not a bad thing. Then the A2 is the dumbest thing that they've put in the kit. Attacks all enemies. Will ignore strengthen, ally protection, and unkillable buffs on enemies under freeze debuffs. But wait, because that's not all. Then has a 100% chance of placing a freeze. So you're telling me that I can ignore all that if they have freeze, but then after I'm trying to ignore all that and I fail miserably because there is no freeze, well, I'm gonna come in, be the hero of the day, and land the freeze, right? Is that... It makes no sense. Yeah. Like, yeah, if this is supposed to be lands the freeze, then attacks all enemies, will ignore blah 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 blah, you know, and that would make more sense. And the other skill, increase attack, crit rate, a shield on the champion, grants an extra turn. Yeah, you're gonna get to buff similar with what the current one does at the moment, you know. And then is the passive, okay, which is a bit more silly too. People think that if you put a blood shield accessory on her, she's gonna be Tormin, you know. Tormin is a tanky champion, he's a defense-based champion. He's gonna revive if you kill him, and he's still gonna be a pain. If you just flick this Atel, she's just gonna get knocked out. I don't know if you guys notice, but the stats on the champions are not that amazing. Like if we're gonna go to Elhain in a second, you're gonna know what I'm talking about, you know. So they're gonna be squishy, these champions, and even an arbiter, if he's gonna get to crit on you, she can take you down, you know, regardless of your blood shield accessory shield. You know what I mean? So
oh my goodness, I just noticed. You're right. 13k hit points on Supreme Elaine.
It's just like it's I'm sorry. I want to be positive, guys. I want to give you only positive vibes. I want to come in happy, singing, dancing, and be like, my God, guys, this champion is absolutely amazing. It's completely gonna rock your account. But you know what? I gotta be blunt. I like to be blunt, to say directly how it is, and that's the reality. If you don't like me because I'm saying it blunt, it's fine. No problem. You know?
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, the thing is, both of them are supposed to be like these big damage dealers, but when you add the kit on Aethel, right? You add the kit to freeze, and then you don't have her have it as unresistible. Then
exactly.
You depend on
Thing,
accuracy.
yeah.
You depend on accuracy for that, which nobody ever builds on damage dealers, unless they have something very special. Which the freeze is okay, but this will never land on a support. Maybe it lands if you're lucky on the damage dealer, but if your damage dealer is already built good, you're gonna kill them, and the freeze won't matter. So the freeze is really for the supports, and the supports will never get frozen by a 200 accuracy, you know, damage dealer Supreme Aethel. And her kit overall is not that special. Even if you bring in multiple freeze champions, so she does something with the A1, I don't think it's gonna be that great. And if she had another way to freeze, then I could see maybe her kit working. If she had multi-hits like the normal Aethel has, like a triple hit on the A1.
Yeah, I said that in my video. I was like, why'd they take away, that was like a staple of her identity, is that triple hit A1.
Yes, she was going to be great for the Fire Knight now. Like if she was attacking 3 times, have a 20, 30, 40% chance to land freeze with the A1, then yeah, she would have been pretty nice, you know. And the thing is, we always had this issue in the game. It's not something new. Like it's been 40 years. Freeze champions tend to always be dependable of another freeze champion, which makes them irrelevant. You're never going to get to actually take them into their full potential. Yeah, you might be able to go if you're struggling on the Doom Tower waves and you literally have, my God, you have Yakal and you have nothing else to go with. You're going to take Supreme Aethel in there to help you a bit with the damage. But the main idea is they're so easy to drop out of teams, so replaceable as champions, you know, especially Supreme Aethel, Elhain, you know, like. And talking about multipliers, I might be wrong on this, but from what I recall, she has the weakest multipliers out of all this Supreme Aethel, you know. So they literally made her so dirty, man. Like they've done her dirty. It's a shame because I really thought that, okay, they're gonna make the new starter champions. People love the starter champions. They're excited, you know. And I thought that they will make them decent. Like, my God, to pull this champion out of a mercy of 200 voids, I would probably want to break my screen or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to do another collab and get the Void Legendary tier list up to date for sure. Well, the only one, I guess, you know, while we're here, I guess we can wrap up with, are you going to fuse Supreme Elaine? And are you going to recommend that most people fuse Supreme Elaine? Go ahead, Cold Brew.
I'm gonna fuse her just because we're gonna have so many events that it's probably gonna be worth me doing all those events at the time. And I tried to get these champions when they're offered. Most of the times, unless they're very bad, and it's a void champ, so I might as well get her, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, Scratch.
She was my starter champion, so I'm gonna fuse her because of that. Even if she was as crap as Aethel, I was still gonna fuse her just because of that. Now, if I would recommend people to go and fuse her, if you have the resources available, yeah, go and get her. She might be helpful on a Spider 10 on the new hard mode with a lot of debuffs with the A2. She can deal pretty serious damage. So I already mentioned, because this is it's not gonna go out today, the video. The multipliers are not amazing on her kit, but if you have 10 debuffs on the enemy and you hit with A2, she's gonna be at the Hebrek level. If you have no debuffs with the A2, she's gonna be at the rare level of Elhain, you know. And she might be helpful there if you have no royal guards, if you don't have different sort of combinations in there. She can do a bit of work in there if you're using an increased attack and stuff. So yeah, she might be useful as a nuker for a lot of newcomers that don't really have a lot of champions. Think about Astrolon without the stun, and that's kind of like how you're gonna perceive Elhain as well. You know, that sort of damage and stuff. You know.
Okay. Cool. Well, is there anything that you guys want to touch on before we wrap up Scratch's hot take on Supreme Kael not being as good as everybody's hoping?
If I'm wrong, I'm gonna make a video. I'm sorry. That's it.
All right, you heard it
I'm
here.
out.
You heard it here. Let him know. Let him know if you're mad at him, and then we'll get one of those like teachable moments for Scratch. We'll get one of those apology videos.
Yeah. Give me the red dot, you know.
That's right. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking the time to join me, and I will catch up with you soon. I will link to Cold Brew and Scratch's channels down below. I'm sure you all know who they are by now, but definitely head on over there and throw them a subscribe for the Raid Shadow Legends content. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.